to the Human Body Systems project, and specifically the computer science component where we finish a diagram button. So we're going to be working on a diagram button today. Something that needs to be decided prior to coding. Two things actually. Number one, you've got to decide whether your group will create the same button appearance or have different button appearances. So what I mean by that is if you look at my project, the project that I created actually has the same button, right? All of the buttons are the same. I tried to keep the size the same thing just to make sure that everything was the same. I had the same button, but you don't have to. You can create different buttons. Maybe the person doing the quiz wants a little paper icon, and someone doing the diagram wants a little, I don't know, a little diagram or image of the body system that you're referring to. Either way, that's my point. Secondly, once you decide number one, you've got to decide whether you design the button or upload a button image. So this is actually more so if you're actually creating a different button appearance. If you're creating a different button appearance, will you design the button or upload a button image? Like, will you Google search a button and then download that and then upload that and use it, or will you design it on your own? In my case, I actually designed these on my own. I just made a circle and wrote some text in there, and that's what this tutorial is going to show. Either way, that's what you need to decide. So let's go ahead and jump into creating our diagram button. So I will go to my file, my diagram file, and I'll go ahead and see inside. And like I said, I'm going to actually create my button myself. So I'm actually going to paint a new sprite. And I'm actually going to leave the file as costume1. It's very important that you leave the file as costume1 just for compiling purposes when we put all of this together. So I'm going to go ahead and create my button right here using the circle icon. I click outside of it and it's appearing over here, but we'll take care of that later. I'll go ahead and fill that with a certain color using my paint can. And then lastly, I'll add my text. So this one is diagram. And it's not showing up, so I have to make sure that I click on to make the font black. And again, if you remember, I can change my fonts over in the bottom left corner to whatever I want. And I can resize it. I can make it bigger or smaller depending on what happens. But remember, if I click outside, I have no way to go back to that. So if I didn't like something, I have to undo it and go ahead and type it again. Once I click the center and my movement icon, I can move it to where I want. There, my diagram icon is done. I just now need to add the code to it. So the code that I'm going to add is the following. I'll go to scripts and I'll go to when flag clicked, and I'm going to click the looks drawer and I'm going to put in show. So when the flag is clicked, I want to show this. Next that I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my events and I'm going to go when I receive. When I receive, and I'm actually going to change this to something new. It's going to be called main menu. Now this is very important that you write it in the following way. Capital M-A-I-N space capital M-E-N-U, because when we put all of this together, you're going to have a lot of different buttons that need to have the same message. So main space menu, both words capitalized. So when I receive main menu, go back to looks and show it. And now I'm going to go to motion and I'm going to place it somewhere. Okay. Here it doesn't really matter. The person doing the compiling is ultimately the person who's going to decide where this button is going to go, but you just decide where you want it to go for just now. So I'll just put it right here. And if I locate it right here, remember I can look over in the top right corner and see where it's actually located, which is 215, -89. Now what I'm going to want to do is make sure that not only when I receive main menu it's at 215.89, -89, but also when the flag is clicked. So make sure that you've put this same code in two different places. Okay, Now what I'm going to want to do is go to Events, and I'm going to drag over When I Receive, and I'm going to change this to another new message, and this message is going to be called Switch. Capital SWITCH. Make sure that you've capitalized it, make sure that you've spelled it right, double, triple check it, okay? When I receive Switch, I want to go to Looks, and I want to hide the button, okay? And the last block of code. Okay, so I got my flag clicked, my main menu, my switch, and my last block of code is going to be a new event, is that when this sprite is clicked, this is what's going to give the button its functionality. Okay, I'm going to drag over from looks, switch backdrop to, and I'm going to leave it to this for now. The person doing the compiling is going to change this to whatever needs to be changed, but I'm just going to leave this for now. What I'm going to do is switch backdrop to backdrop 1, and I'm going to go to events, and I'm going to broadcast two things. So I'm going to drag over a broadcast of diagram, and then also another broadcast of switch. Done. I'm done with my code right now, so I'll definitely do a file save now, and I'll see that this is working. When this sprite is clicked, it's going to broadcast something called diagram, which is this, and then it's going to broadcast switch. So when it receives switch, it's going to hide. Let's make sure it hides. Yep, it's hiding, and when the flag is clicked, it should show up again. Great. Now my button is set, and you've completed the diagram button.